Let me ask you something uncomfortable. If you died tomorrow, not next year, not in 20 years, tomorrow, how much of your wealth would actually be yours? Not your salary, not your car, not your house with a mortgage. How much would be yours? I want you to sit with that question for a moment, because most people have never asked it. They have spent 40, 50, 60 years accumulating things, titles, possessions, the trappings of a successful life, and they have never once stopped to ask whether any of it actually belongs to them. The answer for most people is very little. I have spent more than 70 years studying money, not the kind you see on television, not the kind they teach in business school, the kind that compounds quietly while you sleep, the kind that does not require you to be the smartest person in the room, the kind that is available to almost anyone who understands a small number of simple principles. And in those 70 years, I have watched brilliant people, engineers, lawyers, doctors, people with more intelligence than I will ever possess, destroy their financial lives one habit at a time. Not through bad luck, not through a single catastrophic decision, not through a market crash or an economic collapse. Through 7 ordinary habits they repeated every single day. The chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. I did not write that. Samuel Johnson did. But I have thought about it almost every day of my adult life, because it describes with perfect precision the way financial destruction actually works. It is never dramatic. It is never sudden. It is the slow accumulation of choices, so small they feel meaningless, right up until the moment they become irreversible. Today, I am going to show you the 7 chains you are wearing right now. If you are watching this and you are over 40, I need you to listen very carefully, because the window to fix this is not closing. For some of you, it is already closed. The question is whether you are willing to hear the truth. Let us begin. Before I name the 7 habits, I need to explain something that most financial content will never tell you. Something that the people selling you investment courses and retirement plans have a strong financial incentive to keep hidden. These habits are not accidents. They are features. Your environment, every billboard, every notification, every one-click checkout, every colleague's new car, every social media post of someone's vacation you could not afford is an engineered system. It has been designed, tested, optimized, and refined over decades by some of the most intelligent people on the planet. And its single purpose is to extract money from you. Not all of it, just enough to keep you spending slightly more than you earn. Not broke, not rich, permanently dependent. Researchers at Harvard discovered something that I found both fascinating and deeply troubling. When people are under financial stress, truly under financial stress, their measured IQ drops by 13 to 14 points. Think about what that means. That is the cognitive equivalent of losing a full night of sleep every single day while trying to make the most important financial decisions of your life. The system knows this. Stressed people make impulsive decisions. Impulsive decisions create more debt. More debt creates more stress. More stress creates more impulsive decisions. It is not a cycle, it is a trap. And it has been engineered to be as difficult to escape as possible. This is not a character flaw in the people who fall into it. This is not laziness. This is not stupidity. This is biology being weaponized against your net worth by people who understand biology better than you do. I want you to hold on to that thought as I walk you through the 7 habits, because understanding that these habits are features of the system, not failures of your character, is the first and most important step to breaking them. Most people live their entire lives according to what I call the outer scorecard, the invisible ledger kept by neighbors, colleagues, family members, and social media feeds. They buy the car for the approval, the house for the status, the vacation for the photograph, the watch for the respect they hope it will command. And then they wonder why, at 55, they have a beautiful life and an empty account. Charlie Munger, my partner of more than 50 years, once told me something I have never forgotten. Show me the incentive and I will show you the outcome. The incentive of every consumer system around you is to keep you on that treadmill. Earning, spending, borrowing, earning more to pay the debt, spending the surplus on the next upgrade. Now, with that context, let me show you the 7 habits. The first habit is the most seductive because it does not feel like a habit. It feels like success. You get a raise. You upgrade the car. You get promoted. You upgrade the apartment. Your income grows by 30%, and somehow, within 18 months, so do your expenses. Economists call this lifestyle creep. I call it the lifestyle creep of the ego, because underneath every upgrade is the same sentence, I deserve this now. And perhaps you do. But here is what nobody tells you about deserving things. Every dollar you spend on the upgrade today is a soldier you are permanently removing from your army. A soldier who, had you kept them deployed, would have worked for you for 30 years without salary, without vacation, without ever asking for a raise. I want you to think about that image very concretely. $100 invested today in a broad market index fund becomes approximately $800 over 30 years at a historically normal rate of return. Every time you upgrade your lifestyle, instead of investing the difference, you are not spending $100. You are spending $800. You are just paying for it in installments so small you cannot feel them. Lifestyle creep works exactly like a slow gas leak. You cannot smell it. You cannot see it. Your house feels normal. Your life feels normal. But the gas is accumulating silently in every room. And one morning you strike a match, you open your bank statement at 62 and realize you have nothing. And the explosion tells you everything you missed over the previous 20 years. The people who build real wealth do not reward promotions with upgrades. They reward promotions with invisibility. Their neighbor gets a raise and buys a Tesla. They get a raise and increase their automatic investment by the same amount. Their life looks exactly the same on the outside. Their account does not. The second habit, I want you to picture a factory, any factory. The factory produces goods. Workers produce the goods. The owner owns the factory. Now tell me, who gets rich in that picture? Not the workers who show up early and stay late. Not the workers who give 40 years of their best effort to the enterprise. The owner gets rich because the owner owns the asset. The workers own only their time, and time is the one thing that can never be recovered. Most people, by the age of 40, have spent 15 to 20 years being the worker. 20 years trading their most finite and irreplaceable resource, their time, for money that arrives on Friday and is gone by the following Thursday. A salary is not income. I want to be very precise about this because the distinction matters enormously. A salary is a sophisticated trap. It is designed to be just comfortable enough that you do not feel the need to escape it, just insecure enough that you are afraid to leave it, and just insufficient enough that it never actually sets you free. A salary is a rental agreement on your life. You rent 40 hours a week, sometimes more, to someone else. They keep the asset, the equity, the compounding returns, the business that becomes worth 10 times what you helped build it. You get the invoice every 2 weeks for 40 years. And then you retire with a small percentage of what you helped create. The question you should be asking is not, how do I earn more money from my salary? The question is, what can I own that earns money while I sleep? A business, a collection of index funds, real estate that generates rental income, royalties, any asset that produces returns without requiring the direct exchange of your time. 99% of my net worth was accumulated after the age of 50. People find that statistic extraordinary. They should not. It is simply mathematics. The compounding did not accelerate because I became smarter. It accelerated because I had spent decades accumulating assets that were themselves accumulating returns. That is not genius. That is the inevitable outcome of owning assets instead of renting out time. The third habit, I want to introduce you to the most dangerous creature in the financial ecosystem. More dangerous than a market crash, more dangerous than inflation, More dangerous than bad investment advice. The asset termite, a streaming subscription, $6 a month, a premium coffee, $5 a day, which is $150 a month, an unused gym membership, $45 a month, a software subscription you signed up for during a free trial and forgot to cancel, $15 a month, a slightly nicer phone plan than you need, $20 a month. None of these amounts to anything individually. Together, in this example, we are looking at over $300 a month leaving your account without any conscious decision on your part. $300 a month invested over 30 years at a normal market return is approximately $350,000. You are not failing to build wealth because you cannot afford to invest. You are failing to build wealth because you have $350,000 leaving your account in amounts so small you cannot feel them. Termites do not announce themselves. They do not send a notification. They work in silence and in the dark for years, sometimes for decades. And then one day, the foundation collapses. And everyone around you asks, how did this happen so fast? It did not happen fast. It happened at $6 a month for 20 years. The wealthy do not avoid all spending. That is not the secret. The secret is that they audit their spending with the precision and regularity of a surgeon. Every quarter, every subscription, every recurring charge, every automated payment, everything that leaves their account without a fresh, conscious decision to let it leave. Here is the assignment I give to everyone who asks me about money. It takes 45 minutes, and it will change how you see your finances permanently. Print your last 3 months of bank and credit card statements. Go through them line by line with a highlighter. Highlight every charge that you did not make a conscious decision about in the last 7 days. Add up the highlighted amounts, the number will shock you. For most people, it is between $200 and $600 a month. Money that is simply gone, absorbed by the infrastructure of a lifestyle they built without realizing how expensive it had become. The fourth habit, Sir Isaac Newton, arguably the most brilliant scientific mind in the history of human civilization, lost the equivalent of $3 million in today's money in the South Sea bubble of 1720. He had watched his friends and neighbors growing wealthy on paper as the South Sea Company stock rose. He had studied the situation. He had concluded correctly that it was speculative and dangerous. He had even sold his position early at a profit, and then he watched the people around him continue to get richer, and he bought back in at the peak. After the inevitable collapse, he reportedly said, "I can calculate the motion of heavenly bodies, but not the madness of people." Newton was not destroyed by ignorance. He was destroyed by the outer scorecard, by the inability to sit quietly while others appeared to prosper, by the psychological anguish of watching his neighbor's paper fortunes grow while his did not, by a force that is not measured in IQ points. The habit of chasing the outer scorecard costs people not just money, but identity. When your financial decisions are driven by how they appear to others, you gradually lose the ability to know what you actually want. You buy the car you do not need to impress the people you do not particularly like, with the money you cannot afford to spend. And you repeat this pattern at every income level because the outer scorecard always resets, the target always moves, the neighbors always upgrade. There are 2 scorecards you can live by. The outer scorecard is maintained by your neighbors, your colleagues, your family, your social media feed. It is updated constantly, and you can never win it because it is specifically designed to be unwinnable. The moment you achieve what it demands, the demand changes. The inner scorecard is maintained only by you. It asks a single question: am I doing what I believe is right by the standards I have set for myself, regardless of what anyone else thinks? Every person I have genuinely admired in 70 years of business and investing has lived by the inner scorecard, and every person I have seen financially destroyed was playing a different game, a game designed by someone else for someone else's benefit. The fifth habit. Here is a question that almost nobody asks. At 40 or 50 or 60, am I busy or am I productive? They feel like the same thing. They are not. Busy is a symptom, not of success, of poverty, poverty of focus, poverty of strategy. Poverty of the courage to say no to good opportunities so that you can say yes to great ones. A hamster running in a wheel is extraordinarily busy. It is, by any mechanical measure, working extremely hard. It generates tremendous energy. It demonstrates tremendous commitment. And it arrives at the end of every single day in exactly the same place it started. I have a rule I have followed for more than 50 years. I sometimes describe it as the 25-5 rule, though I want to be clear that the specific numbers matter less than the underlying principle. Write down your 25 most important goals. Take as long as you need, be honest, then circle the 5 that are most critical to you, the 5 that if you achieve nothing else would represent a successful life. Now look at the remaining 20. Those are not your secondary priorities. Those are not the goals you will pursue after you finish the first 5. Those are your avoid at all costs list. Because here is the danger that most productivity advice misses entirely. The goals that are most likely to prevent you from achieving your most important objectives are not the bad goals. They are not the obvious time wasters. The goals that will quietly consume your resources, your attention, your energy, and your time are the good goals, the reasonable goals, the goals that any sensible person would consider worthwhile. Busy people pursue all 25. They optimize across all of them. They work longer hours to fit more in. And they wonder why, after decades of extraordinary effort, they feel like they have not made meaningful progress on the things that matter most to them. Wealthy people, people who build real and lasting financial independence, pursue 5 ruthlessly. And they treat everything else, including good opportunities, including reasonable suggestions, including the advice of well-meaning friends and colleagues, as a distraction to be politely declined. The 6th habit, Albert Einstein, or so the story goes, was once asked what he considered to be the most powerful force in the universe. He said compound interest. Whether he actually said it, the mathematics are unarguable. A single dollar invested today at a 7% annual return, which is a conservative estimate of long-term stock market performance adjusted for inflation, becomes $2 in 10 years, $4 in 20 years, $8 in 30 years, $16 in 40 years, $1,000 becomes $16,000, $10,000 becomes $160,000. $100,000 left untouched for 40 years becomes $1.6 million. These are not projections. They are not optimistic scenarios. They are arithmetic. The habit that kills wealth is not failing to understand this arithmetic. Almost everyone I have ever spoken to about money understands it intellectually. The habit that kills wealth is understanding the arithmetic. And starting next year, I will begin investing seriously next year when I have paid off this debt. Next year, when I have a larger emergency fund. Next year, when the market looks less volatile. Next year, when I earn a bit more. Next year is not a plan. Next year is the compounding of delay. And the compounding of delay is as powerful and as merciless as the compounding of returns. Every year you postpone costs you not 1 year of returns. It costs you the returns on those returns and the returns on those returns in an exponential cascade that grows larger the longer you wait. The tragedy is not that people do not understand compounding. The tragedy is that they understand it intellectually at 25 and believe it emotionally only at 65. And by then, the one ingredient that cannot be manufactured, purchased, or recovered, time, is gone. The 7th habit, this is the habit I want to discuss last, because it is the one most likely to undo everything else. And it is the most dangerous precisely because it is invisible in the good years, living without a margin of safety. In investing, the margin of safety is the single most important concept I have ever encountered. It is simple, it is not exciting, and it is the reason I have never suffered a permanent catastrophic loss in more than 70 years of investing. The principle is this. I never buy a business at what I calculate it to be worth. I buy it at a meaningful discount to what I believe it is worth, because I know with absolute certainty that my calculations will sometimes be wrong. Markets will sometimes behave in ways that cannot be anticipated. Unexpected events will occur, and when they do, the margin of safety is the buffer that turns what might have been a catastrophic loss into a temporary inconvenience. I build bridges to carry 30,000 pounds, but I only ever drive a 10,000-pound truck across them. That 20,000 pounds of unused capacity is not waste, it is not inefficiency. It is the difference between a bridge that survives an unexpected load and one that collapses. In personal finance, the margin of safety is the fund you never touch. The reserve you keep liquid regardless of what investment opportunities arise. The financial moat around your castle that ensures that one emergency, one job loss, one medical crisis, one market crash cannot destroy everything you have built. The people who get destroyed financially, and I have watched this happen to brilliant, hardworking, well-intentioned people many times, are almost always the people who had no margin, who were fully invested, fully leveraged, fully committed to a plan that assumed things would go as expected. Things do not go as expected. That is not pessimism, that is history. Now I want you to try something. Not tomorrow, right now, while you are still listening. I want you to imagine you are 95 years old. You are sitting in a comfortable chair beside a window. The afternoon light is coming in at an angle. You have a blanket across your knees. You are not in any pain. You are looking back at the life you lived, not at your portfolio balance, not at your career titles, not at the house you owned or the cars you drove or the vacations you took, at the life you actually lived, the relationships, the moments, the decisions you made in quiet rooms that no one ever saw. The 95-year-old version of you is not thinking about the stock price of anything you ever owned. They are not calculating the return on the investment you made in 2007. They are not reviewing the performance of their retirement fund. They are thinking about the people who were there, the people they chose to spend time with, the people they loved and the people who loved them in return. I have made a great deal of money in my life, more than I could ever spend, more than my children and grandchildren will ever need. I did not set out to make that much money. I set out to do interesting work with people I admired for as long as I possibly could. The money was a consequence of that, not the purpose of it. I measure my success by a single metric. How many of the people I want to love me actually love me? Not respect me, not envy me, not feel obligated to me, love me. By that measure, I consider myself extraordinarily wealthy. The habits I have described today will cost you more than money if you do not address them. Lifestyle creep will steal your freedom. Selling time instead of owning assets will steal your autonomy. Asset termites will steal your security. The outer scorecard will steal your identity. Busyness without focus will steal your relationships. Ignoring compounding will steal your options. And living without a margin will steal your peace. The 95-year-old in the chair wants all of those things back. The 40-year-old or 50-year-old or 60-year-old watching this still has time to keep them. I do not believe in motivational speeches. I never have. Motivation fades, systems persist, protocols endure. So here is the protocol. I call it the Fortress Protocol. Step 1, define enough. This is the step that almost no one takes, and it is the most important of the 3. Sit down with a piece of paper and write the specific number that represents genuine financial security for you. Not wealth, not luxury, not the ability to buy anything you want. Security. The number at which, if your income stopped tomorrow, you could live comfortably for the rest of your life without anxiety. Most people have never written that number down. They have a vague sense that more is better and that they need to earn and save and invest as much as possible, but they have no destination. They are running a race with no finish line. And people who run races with no finish line do not win. They simply run until they collapse. Step 2, audit the termites. This week, not next month. Print 3 months of bank and credit card statements, go through every line, identify every recurring charge, cancel everything that does not actively serve your defined enough. This will take 45 minutes. It will save you, over the course of your remaining working life, potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars. Step 3, build the moat. Today, not next month, set up an automatic transfer. A minimum of 20% of your take-home income going to a separate investment account on the day your salary arrives, before you pay any bill, before you buy any groceries, before you make any decision about how to spend your money that month. The investment happens first. Everything else is funded from what remains. This is not a sacrifice. This is the reordering of a single priority. You do not have to implement all 7 changes today. Start with 1. Just 1. The most important thing is not the size of the first step. It is that the first step happens tonight, not next year. Audit your termites tonight, print the statements, find the leaks, plug 1. That single action, compounded over 30 years, represents a different life. I want to leave you with this. I have met thousands of people across 7 decades of investing in business. I have met people who built generational wealth starting from nothing, from actual poverty, from circumstances that most people in this room have never experienced and hopefully never will. And I have met people who inherited substantial fortunes and ended their lives with less than they began. The difference was never intelligence. I have known people of extraordinary intelligence who made catastrophic financial decisions. The difference was never opportunity. I have known people handed extraordinary opportunities who wasted every one of them. The difference was not even timing, though timing matters. The difference was temperament. The ability to sit quietly when the market is falling and every instinct is telling you to sell. The ability to act with conviction when the evidence demands it and every voice around you is urging caution. The ability to define your own scorecard, to know what enough looks like, to resist the outer scorecard that is constantly being updated by people who do not have your interests at heart, and to simply refuse to play a game that was not designed for you to win. 7 habits, 7 chains, 1 decision. Which chain will you break first? The 95-year-old in the chair is watching. Make them proud. Welcome to the minority.